intro. We can't play that intro. We'll get fucking taken down by YouTube because we're on YouTube now. So we can't say anything. There's no except care. You got your thing down on your underneath your banner.
What?
So your company name. I don't think we're allowed to have that.
Oh, hold on. I was unaware.
Let me
Let me edit myself.
I'll just turn it off there. Plus, you also have Care and Jen.
Did I say I was prepared for this?
Yeah. there you go. That was quick. So,
I'm fast.
Yes, this has nothing to do with tobacco or anything else because we all know that's bad for you, and you shouldn't be doing that. So,
and smoking cigars is not a safer and healthier alternative to cigarette smoking.
It is not. Cigar Coop, who I love his content, great guy. Cigar Coop is rumor free and teaser free. Puff and Ponder podcast, that's what we specialize in, rumor and teasers. So we are the anti-Coop. Not that we're against him, we're just the anti. So rumor has it that and I guess it's not rumor, but
sorry.
STG
I laughed. I had to laugh.
Yeah. STG, the big tobacco conglomerate giant, is taking out a $300 million bond. And the only reason that they would take out a bond of that size is for a massive acquisition. Now, it is known
they buying cigar prop?
Yeah, they will have a whole lot of money left over of that bond after they purchase.
You're like, listen, you get the lounge. You can even have Jessica.
That's it. You get the house. You get all of this.
Take the kids and the dogs too,
and you will still have a whole lot of hundreds of millions of dollars left. So it is not a rumor that they have been trying to acquire Rocky Patel for quite some time now. I need to.
Did you see the thing pop up?
I did, and I don't know what's going on. So let me try it again. Rumble's having an issue right now, so we'll upload it tomorrow. So not a big deal. It's not a rumor that they've been trying to acquire Rocky Patel for a decade now. So
I did read that.
So there's the numbers haven't been right, and that's the only company I can think of, unless they're going to buy a couple of. I mean, Rocky's not worth $300 million either, but it's probably got to be close. I mean, they paid $76 million for Alec Bradley. And Alec Bradley doesn't have a tenth of the portfolio.
I was going to say, I mean, that's
that Rocky Patel. So so you
might, though, dude. That's
you might be, So they might be worth every bit of.
$76 million for Alec Bradley. I'd have to imagine that freaking Rocky Patel is going to be somewhere in that range of $200,000 to $300,000. If not, I think leaning more towards $3. I mean, look, think about all the freaking facings he has.
Yeah, Rocky's got like 1,000 SKUs or something.
Yeah,
Boston Jimmy, welcome. Chris, welcome. Boston, we were just talking about STG taking out a $300 million bond and who they are going to buy. My money is going to be on Rocky Patel. There was some talk, some rumors from some insiders, that a deal with Illusione had fell through at one time. Along with some other deals, so I could see that Rocky deal finally going through. So
it'll be interesting.
It'll be interesting because Rocky Patel cigars, to a lot of new cigar smokers that I have met, don't know that that's a real person. So I think he's done a good job of, and it's the same. We were talking before the show about Room 101 cigars.
Yeah.
There is still the majority of the industry that still knows who Matt Booth is, but I have met some people, over the last 6 months or so that don't know who Matt Booth is. They only know Room 101. as cigars. You know, I was at an event with Dunbarton Tobacco and Trust, and it was for another company, and Steve was there. 90% of the people did not know who Steve Saka was. You know, they were there for cigars and other things. So yeah.
Really?
Yeah. So there are some, you know, some perks of, you know, like Rocky over the last few years. You don't see him as much anymore. Same with Jonathan Drew. Jonathan Drew is definitely no longer the face of Drew Estate.
Yeah.
You know, not, you know, I mean, there are people that you see a picture, they have no idea who JD is. Same with Rocky Patel. So yeah, so I think Rocky could sail off into the sunset. And Boston, I heard they were buying out Saka. So now Saka did say, I believe, I'm gonna say twice, but I believe at least once that that an offer was tendered, and he's not against. You know, he knows his time on this planet is I mean, he's, you know, like 70 years old. I don't know, he might be younger than that. I think he's like 65, but he's
not a good leading, Kev.
He's not of the greatest of health. I mean, like healthy is, I mean, he's a big dude. His heart's going to go one day. So he understands that. I'm not saying anything that Steve Saka doesn't already tell you anyway. So it's not like I'm saying anything. Steve will tell you the same thing. And
remind me never to have you introduce me or
yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Steve, but you know, he knows his time's limited. I mean, he's like 78.
Yeah.
You know,
so
his heart's going to go out in a minute.
That's it. But he does say that Cindy does have a plan. If he was to go tomorrow, you know, she does have a plan of breaking everything down. So, but I think maybe one day, you know, we'll see the Robert Holt looking we heard, so being on the inside, we heard that like 6 weeks, maybe like 6 or 8 weeks prior, you know, to that going on. And but yeah, it's Robert Holt.
Jimmy, you still hold on to Stogie Press? Not going to be selling anytime soon?
No, he's retired now. He's in good shape. Jimmy's like Jimmy's like 75 with the body of a 40-year-old. So Jimmy's not going
good.
You know, he's not going anywhere.
No.
So
it's like make some quick money and then just kind of, you know, move back out to Japan and live in one of those monasteries out there.
Yeah. That's it.
Cigars out in a freaking...
living a yurt on the side of Mount Fuji.
Yeah, exactly.
You know, so but yeah, even Jimmy, show me the dollars. You know, people called out Matt Booth for selling, and then like Robert Holt called him, or Robert Caldwell called him a sellout, and then Robert bounced, and then everybody else is, you know, hey, can I get some of that sweet STG money?
I was gonna say, yeah, everybody likes to call you a sellout until someone comes by and then freaking with an open checkbook.
Yeah, with a dump truck full of money. Yeah. You're like, yeah, I'm out as well. So
fucking ridiculous. So stupid.
Yeah.
It's a great opportunity, man. And I mean, that's you and to be able to retain the creativity in what you're doing. I mean, yeah, that's literally like winning the lottery. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I'm sure they're both collecting another paycheck. I'm sure they're both collecting a 6-figure paycheck.
Yeah,
you know, each year for doing what they're doing. You know, staying on as brand ambassadors for an X amount of time before you wind that down and your company is able to survive without the face, like Drew Estate. You know, like I said, you know, when they sold to Swisher and JD, you know, sailed off on his golden yacht, and then all hell broke loose, and they had to bring him back, and then all the things that they did over the last, you know, many years, and then you know, you're starting to see less and less and less of him, you know, for the past 3 years now. So, but yeah. One day, Matt he's still a young man though.
Yeah, he's Matt, you know. But he could easily just, you know, step away, go right back in and do his gin and his jewelry. I mean, the guy is talented. He's got so many different avenue and business ventures that he can go into and probably not even skip a beat.
Oh yeah. You know, without a doubt.
Yeah.
So Robert Caldwell, once his few years are up, I think he is definitely sitting on a beach, margarita in hand, cigar, and we'll never see him again.
A couple extra buttons unbuttoned.
Yeah, a couple extra buttons, and then he'll make an appearance like 8 years from now and be like, you're still alive? I haven't seen you in forever.
Hey, listen, man, that's the good life, right? That's what we all strive for. So, Kevin, you're a woodworker, right? You're a very handy man. You are.
I am handy.
What would you consider yourself? When it comes to woodworking,
I am a novice. I am a novice that has some really nice tools and a skill set that will allow me to sand the shit out of something to make it look better. I'm decent. I'm decent.
So when I first moved into this house, I found this big branch that ended up being my walking stick, right? And I've been keeping it around, and I'm working on kind of like getting the bark off of it. It's really solid, it's good and everything else. But I did cut it down to size. So with that, I had some leftover pieces. And I have this ashtray that I'm restoring. It's like from the 30s. And between the top, and it's one of those ashtrays, it's a cigarette ashtray. So it has the holder that back in the day where you'd put the cigarettes in like the cup. And then it had the electric lighter that you'd step on the little switch on the base.
God, where did you find that?
There's in Maryland somewhere. And then there's a center part, and then there's marble down below that actually had lights in it that it would light up. So the centerpiece had this. It looked like it probably replaced this old piece of ridiculous aluminum tubing. Looked like shit. So I'm like, hey, how great would it be between the marble top and the marble midsection and the top of the ashtray to have wood, right? A piece of wood that kind of, there's a hole down the center. You slip it right over top of that freaking, the metal pole, snaps right in. So I'm like, why don't I use some natural wood that I have around me? So I had this piece, and it was the straightest possible piece I could find from this stick. And I cut it, sanded it down, and I'm like, man, this looks great. This is a perfect time that a drill press would be really helpful, because drill press is going to, the benefits of having a drill press is it's straight and perfect directly down.
Yeah, depending on how long it needs to be. Right. What you're describing, I wouldn't have used a drill press, but
what have you used?
Well, depending on how long is it?
About 6 inches.
Oh, okay. So yeah, I might have used a drill press, right. Or you cut it in half with a bandsaw, and then you use a router, and then you put a groove in each side. Then you sandwich it over the pole and glue it, and you'll never see the seam.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. So I have neither a bandsaw nor a drill press, right?
Or a router. So, yes.
So I'm like, or I have a router. I got a router.
Oh, do you? Oh, okay.
Yeah. So I'm like, hey, you know what? I think if I hold this strong enough in my hand and I get my drill.
Famous last words, brother.
I said, I think I could drill a hole through this. And then I said to myself, Kevin right now would be freaking throwing shit at my head. Right? So there's the hole.
Yeah.
There's the hole.
Yeah.
There's where it came out. And there's where it came out. I just took a lighter and charred it. So now I have this nice piece of wood that's smooth. This used to be a branch in the backyard. Smells nice. And I have no use for it. So I do see where it, because it was angled, but here's where I was telling Jennifer, I said, this is where a drill press would really come in handy. Really handy. But that's my goal, is to get, like, because Daryl, our buddy Daryl, from gosh, what is it? Cigar, smoking cigar experiences, what have you. He is whittling. He's doing a lot of whittling, and he's pretty good at it. I mean, in a short period of time. So I want to get a piece of wood and have him do some carvings on it, and then drill a hole in it and put it in there. But I thought you'd get a kick out of that with my thought process.
Yeah, I would drill the hole first before he carved it. That way, if you fucked it up, you go right through his carving.
Yeah, no. I plan on giving him a piece that is ready to. I want to give him a piece that if it gets fucked up, it's going to be on him, not on me, because I know that I won't bust his balls. But if he carved something beautiful and I fucked up the hole, I would never live it. He still mentioned when I sold his cigar, so he would never let me live it down, and rightfully so.
Just have him whittle a hole, whittle the hole.
But that's about the size of the rod that goes right down the middle of this stand, and I was like, almost on it, man. But I thought you get a kick out of that because you're a
The famous last words. It says, hold this while I drill through this giant piece of wood.
I'm like, I think I get this straight, and I'm drilling. I'm like, I think I got this. And then all of a sudden, I hear. I was like, oh, well, maybe I don't. So I'm like, well, maybe if I start from this end. So yeah, it was a catastrophe.
Do you even have a vise? You could have locked it in a vise, and then that helped a little bit more.
I had vice grips.
Okay.
I have vice grips, but no, I that was another moment where I'm like, I could have used a vice, right, and kind of came in straight on. So I realized that there was a number of tools that I don't have that would have been really nice. A bandsaw, B, a drill press.
That's how I start. I started, my first tool was a drill press. That was my very first tool I ever bought, and then I have a brand new router table I bought for Amazon Prime Day back in like June or July. I set it up. I have not used it yet. I don't know how to use it. But there are times I've needed a router, and it was such a good deal that I couldn't pass it up. So, but yeah, just buy one tool at a time, a drill here, and then just you build up your.
I agree, Chad.
Build up your collection. Just decide early which kind of guy you're going to be: Milwaukee, Ryobi, or DeWalt. Don't be the guy that has all of them. You gotta choose one.
Yeah, I've been a Ryobi guy for now. I the newer stuff. I have a Milwaukee. I had that years ago when God, it's been a while. It's been a minute. As my circular saw. I bought that. I got a great deal for it, and I actually got a fantastic deal on a Hitachi drill, a plug-in, not a battery. But then after that, everything's been Ryobi.
Yeah, I'm DeWalt only because my first was a corded DeWalt drill. Mm-hmm. I got it on a good deal.
Yeah, and drill presses now. I was looking at price. I'm like, for how many times I use it. I mean, that you can get one that's not that crazy expensive.
Yeah, they make them inexpensive. They make them. The first one I got was a Craftsman one, and then a friend of mine, he had too big of a drill press, and he really needed a smaller one, so he traded me his $4,000 drill press for my $200 Craftsman. So I'm like, yeah, that's a deal. I'll take it. So.
Real pondering here. I just gave you things to ponder about.
That's it. That's what we do here. This is so for everybody that which we didn't even to talk about at the beginning. Chad, LinkedIn user Ray, who said I did a crap job on KMA Saturday.
Did he?
Yeah, he did. He told Abe not the best show. But I'm assuming he was joking. So this is the Puff and Ponder podcast. So you may be wondering what's going on at the I Tap That Cigar show. Why isn't that on? It's Monday night. So that actually was last Monday night was the last show of the season. We always take a holiday break for 3 or 4 weeks. Same thing as we do in the summer. Starting next year, 2025, Kerr and I will be doing the Puff and Ponder podcast 3 Mondays a month. And then 1 Monday a month, we'll be doing the I Tap That Cigar show. And then we'll still be having on that one. We'll still have a guest on. We'll be having guests on this. If anybody ever wants to come on and ponder with us and talk about whatever, we're always open for a guest. It just won't be a question and answer. It'll just be 3 people, 4 people.
Or we will argue.
Talking. Yeah. We just want to argue.
Or we just want to come on and argue. Come on and argue.
Yeah, that's it. So the I Tap That Cigar show going a different route in 2024, 2025. We just see the writing on the wall of the cigar content with all the advertising and the partners that we have. It makes it tough to stop getting kicked off various platforms, stop getting strikes and everything else. And, you saw it with the Cigar Authority podcast. They're the longest running podcast out there, and they just got their first strike about a month ago, which is unheard of. There's YouTube sent out a ton of demonetization notices 2 weeks ago. So I was one of those that got that, which we can't monetize on YouTube anyways, but they still felt it to, say, hey, you can't be monetized. So it is what it is.
That's so, a nice format. I mean, we don't have any sponsors, so someone acts like a jackass, we can say they're being a jackass.
That's it. We can do whatever we want, except in 2025 we'll have a new sponsor. Irish Beard Balm will be our first partner.
I was wondering when that was going to occur, because I almost put that on my brought to you by Irish Beard Balm.
Yeah. So we're waiting on our labels. I finally got all of my product in today, because I never stopped making Irish Beard Balm. I just stopped making it for sale. So all my product I just bought in smaller containers. Right. Now I'm having to buy, in which I forgot how expensive it is to buy, bigger containers, gallon size containers of this stuff. And, and I was showing Jessica, because I was unboxing it all today. And I pulled out a bottle of Moroccan argan oil. So I tell her, because she buys shampoo, and I see it all the time in stores. This contains Moroccan argan oil, and it's like a bottle of shampoo for like $3. And I'm like, she'll even have like, that doesn't contain, or if it does have argan oil in it, it's so minuscule. Because I buy like a gallon of Moroccan argan oil, can be like $400 or $500. It's expensive. It's ungodly expensive, but it is the single.
What's the benefit of Moroccan oil?
Moroccan argan oil. First I said it's so expensive just because of this, the way they Ronnie here will know for his people. His people kind of aren't Moroccan, but they're from the same general area.
Really?
Yeah, it just it'll rehydrate your hair. It makes your hair shiny. It makes it manageable. And then with all the other oils that we use, and then the beeswax that we use. It's a really good product, and it's and it's not a cheap product. I mean, it's for what you can buy it a 2-ounce tin at Walmart for $8, and our product is going to be $16. So it's twice as expensive, but there's no chemicals, no dyes, none of that stuff.
Yeah.
So, and then we got our beard wash that just got the sample of that in today. Oh my God, that's so. Oh my God, it's so good. Yeah, it's so good. That's the only thing I won't make. You make soap and you screw it up, you hurt somebody. Like you send somebody to the hospital with soap.
Yeah.
North Africa is where I'm from. You have to be the most illiterate human.
Well,
I don't know.
Okay,
Morocco's in North Africa, aren't they?
First of all, I gotta stop. I gotta stop you and Ronnie on this. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Just for a hot second. Okay. So. First of all, Ronnie, just because he is not an illiterate, he is just a geographic moron. Okay, he speaks well. He's very, very, very articulate. However, when it comes to the geography of things, Kevin is really not that smart. Okay, he just isn't. However, where in North Africa are you from, Ronnie? Because Morocco is in North Africa. Actually, you could throw a rock from Spain and probably hit Morocco.
Ronnie is Chaldean. I'm not sure. I think it's near. Isn't it Syrian? No, it's
that's not. Oh my God, you guys! No. It's like watching,
Ronnie is a Ronnie is of the.
It's like watching the worst Jeopardy ever.
Ronnie is of the original people. That's what he always says. His people are the original people. So
yeah. Oh, here I actually had to confirm it here, but Morocco.
Did you see the? Did you see mine? Yeah. There we go.
Where?
Iraq. He's from Iraq. How far is Morocco from Iraq? That's stones.
Look, you see Spain? That's Morocco.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay.
Iraq's in the Middle East, which is east of there, in the middle.
Babylon. So
he's a dumb man.
Yeah. But Ronnie can definitely babble on. I can definitely I can contest to that.
Mesopotamia. See, Ronnie is from the cradle,
the Fertile Crescent. Yeah, the Fertile Crescent.
Yeah. That's not Northern Africa.
Yeah, so even Ronnie doesn't know where he's from. He said Northern Africa.
No, he said North Africa is where I'm from. If you had, and you said that Morocco. You actually were right by saying Morocco's in North Africa, and I think that's just a broken watch being correct twice a day when it comes to geography. But
I have seen the movies.
The movies,
the Indiana Jones.
The Indiana Jones movies.
Yeah.
Well, there you go. But yeah, it's that's funny.
So they make good oils. That's all I'm saying. That's all I'm trying to say here is they make good oils. So yeah, so be on the lookout for that coming in
wherever they're from.
Yeah, I'm just waiting on my labels. So as soon as my labels come in, I got my boxes, I got my tins, I got everything good to go.
So Kevin, I got a couple things I got to throw out to you tonight. Okay.
Yeah.
So we're puffing. We need to ponder. Okay. And I'm looking at the order of importance because I know you had a really great weekend.
Fantastic weekend. Yeah.
And I do want to talk about that. However, I gotta bring it to college football playoffs.
Yes.
So maybe someone who's watching who is way smarter than you and I can explain a few things. One is, why is number 3 Penn State playing number 1 Oregon for the championship of their conference when Oregon's undefeated in the conference and Indiana's ranked number 2? Why is South Carolina playing SMU when SMU was undefeated in the conference? I would figure that if you go 8-0, 7-0, 11-0, or whatever within your conference, and someone is in your conference number 2 at 11 or 7-1 or 8-1, that you're like, hey, I'm the conference winner. I have more wins than you and less losses than you. But for some reason, I don't know if it's because of money, I just could not wrap my head around that one at all. At all. I know you don't really kind of understand that either.
Yeah, I have no idea what's going on with the with the playoffs. It's just an absolute shit show. Why, they never released, really, as far as I know. Maybe there is someone smarter out there that knows why who's playing who. It just seems.
But for a conference title, like if you're looking at, the conference title was Oregon was 1, Indiana 2. And number 3 was Penn State, and Penn State played Oregon for the championship.
Yeah, for the Big Ten championship,
right? But that doesn't add up.
It doesn't. And we got go Vols. There is no way Tennessee. I don't want to say that there's no way they can beat, because Tennessee has handed it to Ohio State in years past in various bowl games. I was at a bowl game where Tennessee handed Ohio State a loss at a bowl game, but
that was my next question, was the playoffs.
Yeah.
So I was going to ask you, Kevin. I know the answer to this, but Tennessee, Ohio State, who are you picking?
Obviously Ohio State, but I think they got a good chance because they're licking their wounds right now. 4 years straight loss to Michigan. They got a tough road ahead of them. Because because they play Oregon next. If they can beat Tennessee, they got to go up against Oregon.
Well, answer the question that was asked you. Do not read ahead, Kevin.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Definitely Ohio State's going to take that game.
Penn State, Arizona State University, ASU.
as much as I hate Penn State, I don't think Arizona should be in there. I think it's just that whole side of the fucking board was easy. I don't think Arizona had a tough schedule. I don't think they should be in there. So I kind of want to see them booted so this shit doesn't happen again next year.
Okay.
But,
so then
I see Penn State beating them.
Yeah, so do I. So then you got Tennessee, you got Ohio State, Oregon.
I don't know, man. At least Oregon shows that they are vulnerable, so I don't know if we can beat Oregon. We almost did it.
That's gonna be a great game.
That's a tough game. Oregon's gonna I don't know the time frame between those because Oregon's got, I don't know. I think we can beat them. The problem is we got so many games to play before we get, you
only right now you have one game to play and you have to beat Tennessee. It's going to be a tough game. Then Oregon. Are you committing to an Ohio State victory over Oregon?
I'm committing to Ohio State winning the national championship.
Okay, well then that answers my question for the rest of the bracket, but I am interested in how you come to this conclusion. Penn State against Boise State.
I would have,
blue turf.
I know. I think Boise State's going to beat them. I think Boise State.
I'd love to see Boise State beat Penn State.
I know, same here.
Do not like
Boise State. It was like every few years, you forget about them for a little bit, and then they come out a monster season. So I think Boise State will beat Penn State.
Yeah. So then you have Boise State versus Ohio State. So then we know who you got there. So Georgia, Indiana.
Georgia looked good on that last game. Indiana's playing tough, but
their quarterback's out. Georgia got their quarterbacks knocked out.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah, he got knocked out of that game.
Oh, I didn't know. I saw.
He got the shit rocked out of him. He knocked his helmet off and everything. He got fucked.
Wow.
Yeah.
Oh, I did see that he got his helmet knocked off. So, I don't know. I think Georgia can pull it out.
Yeah, so do I. I think Indiana's good, but I think
as much as I'd like to see another top Big Ten team in there, but I think they're going to lose.
Yeah, I think this is when the Hoosiers rise in 2024 comes to a blistering halt. So two teams down here that I'm not really fans of either one of them. And I didn't, maybe this is the wrong bracket, but am I seeing the right bracket of Notre Dame and Alabama?
I didn't see that on a bracket.
Yeah.
Notre
Dame didn't. Notre Dame was like ranked third, and Notre Dame.
No. I didn't see Notre Dame playing Alabama.
I was kind of surprised to see that one myself. So I don't know if I got the wrong bracket, but I got a couple of them up here, and I see Notre Dame and Alabama seems to be pretty consistent with that.
Yeah.
Actually, I thought it was Notre Dame. I thought Clemson was in this gig, but
I thought that. Yeah, where is? Yeah,
I don't know. I maybe some Michigan, not playing Michigan. Poor Michigan. Leave my Michigan alone.
Yeah, I had Notre Dame, Indiana.
Interesting.
Yeah, I have Notre Dame, Indiana, and then the winner of that game plays Georgia. That was updated 44 minutes ago.
See, there's a bunch of different. But I'm showing Clemson versus Texas.
Yeah, number 12 on the 21st. Clemson at Texas.
So you're telling me I just gave you a bracket that was a false bracket?
Yeah.
What the fuck? Why can't there just be one fucking bracket that's just easy to fucking understand and follow?
Yeah. Yeah, I'm on the NCAA.com. So
well, I guess that would be the place to go, right?
Yeah.
I guess that that link off of OnlyFans didn't work very well.
Yeah, exactly.
But yeah, I want to see Notre Dame get shit stomped too. Not a fan.
Yeah, same here.
State. Yeah, I didn't think Alabama made it, but I mean, I might be mistaken. But I was looking at the brackets. And I'm like, hold on for a second, this isn't making sense.
The most annoying sound in the South: Roll Tide. Roll Tide. Roll Tide.
Oh my God. Work. Roll Tide. Roll.
Yeah. Oh my God. Or War fucking Eagle. You know. So
it's Tennessee, Ohio State, it's Clemson, Texas, and then on the other side is SMU, Penn State, and then Notre Dame, Indiana.
Yeah.
Okay. So I think Notre Dame will beat Indiana. I hope Georgia crushes Notre Dame. I hope SMU beats. I would love to see SMU beat Penn State.
Oh yeah. The Relay Quest Bowl, Michigan, Alabama.
I think
they're actually playing in the Stogie Road Cigar.
I'm gonna say they're playing in the Stogie Road Bowl
for sale for $80.
The Stogie Road Bowl.
Yeah.
It's gonna be a 5-on-5 2-hand touch in the open field across the street from us.
Yeah. Oh my God,
that's too funny. But yeah, I don't know, man. I would love to see you see Clemson, that guy kicked a 55-yarder, 19 years old, true freshman. But
55 yards.
God dang. Yeah, I would like to see SMU really kind of get up on Penn State. I just, you know what? I Notre Dame always does well during the season. They get nice rankings, and then they get into a bowl game, and then they show why they are overrated.
He said that is not a joke. Oh, so that's a real bowl? I thought he was just making some shit up. Michigan, Alabama are playing on 12/31. Oh, okay.
Why? You know what? That's where we get the money grab when you see shit like that.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, I that's the way I kind of feel about Notre Dame. I always get like it's always I'm going through the season,
and then they make it, and then they get proved why they shouldn't be there.
Right, exactly.
Yeah.
That is the one constant that I've always felt, always kind of like prove that their rankings are shit.
Yeah, it's just like they get stomped badly, and then every year people are like, see, that's why we need to stop putting Notre Dame in. So
that's why
but they're an independent, so you got to put them somewhere. So
yeah, they can go do the independence.
I've said it for my whole life.
Yep.
Choose a conference or get out.
Yep.
You don't. There's no such thing. Choose a conference or get out.
Yep. Exactly.
But they don't choose a conference because then they got to live up to that conference. Because then they got Yep.
You just can't pick and choose. Yeah. I've never been a fan of Notre Dame, and where I'm from in Pennsylvania, growing up Catholic, it's like everybody was a Penn State fan and a Notre Dame fan.
Yeah.
Penn State, you're in the center part of the state, you're Penn State fan, Notre Dame fan, and Catholic. I hated both of them. The only thing I liked about Penn State that came out of Penn State was John Cappelletti, the only Heisman Trophy winner. The only thing I like out of Penn State.
Yeah, I remember the old president of Ohio State, tiny old guy, like 105 years old. I can't remember his name. They finally booted him out when he talked about them damn Catholics, when referring to Notre Dame, and they had like, hey, I think it's time to retire, dude. So.
I normally would frown upon that type of language, even though I'm not really a practicing Catholic anymore. I just think it's not polite. However, I think when you are talking and referring to Notre Dame, it is perfectly okay to say that.
Oh, that's it.
I remember when they played Miami back in like the 80s, and they had the T-shirts, the Catholics versus the convicts.
Oh,
when you were playing at Miami University. Yeah, that was back when Miami was having all the freaking issues at school, and all the different disciplinary issues. And that was the big. I think that's when think Warren Sapp was playing or something where they all dressed up in camouflage and showed up to the game. Yeah, the Catholics versus the convicts. I remember those T-shirts.
Sounds like a good movie.
Yeah. So, the other thing I wanted to bring up is this CEO who got shot.
I tell you, it's been
crazy.
It's been a unique experience on social media because nobody's cheering that anybody ever, it's devastating when anybody ever gets unalived, but it's just that there was the one news article I read, and it was from one of the TikTok sleuths, that is part of one of those TikTok groups that can find anybody. And you get like an accident, or you get in a shouting match on the road, and like within like a couple of days, they've pinpointed where that person works, and they're like, okay, we need to call out this person. And they interviewed this person, and they're like, yeah, we don't condone anything that happened, but we're not helping. We're not helping in this situation. Let the police do their jobs. And if that guy hadn't have been flirting with that girl and showed his face, he wouldn't have been arrested today.
I don't think so either, but I mean, I have to laugh at the news shows, right? CNN, MSNBC, Fox News, they're all like, this was a professional. This was a professional. Look at this. And it's like, he's like a 26-year-old kid from Maryland.
Yeah, that we're going to come to find out that someone close to him passed away waiting for treatment. We're gonna hear that. That's what's gonna happen.
It's gonna be interesting. It came from a well-to-do family as well. I mean, they're well-to-do. He's smart kid. I mean, graduated from University of Pennsylvania, double major. I think he's got his master's in like computer science or something.
And Chad, I heard this as well.
I heard. I was going to ask you, what was the not the funniest, but what was the craziest conspiracy theory that you've heard so far?
Yeah, that one doesn't make sense. Why the CEO of United Health would be testifying on an insider trading case? That one didn't make sense.
Not unless he was privy to and or leaked information to said entity, then would make a purchasing or selling decision on that information. That would be the only thing. That's obviously insider, trader information. But that was one that listen, as well as I do the way that social media works. If something like that comes up and it's true, they will squash the shit out of it to make sure, especially if you got some juice behind you, to make sure that even Googling that, you're not that, or Yahoo, that's not going to see the light of day.
Yeah.
However, being a slight conspiracy theorist at times, it was very interesting about COVID on how when they released the report, all the folks that were freaking shot down and called conspiracy theorists during the COVID outbreak, they were all right.
Yeah. Yeah, without a doubt. You talk about the COVID report that was written.
Oh, that's right.
And yeah, it was he said that, and then
she bought a lot of stock in the company that actually came in and cleaned up the mess from when United got hacked.
He said that, and then and now I'm remembering all that. But yeah, it was the COVID report that was written by, I forget the guy's name, but now he's going to be, I think it's the was it Kash Patel, the new FBI director, or the new one of the people, he says, that's the first thing we're releasing is the COVID report that I wrote. I wrote for the American people, but they deemed it too dangerous to release, so they redacted half of the report. He goes, we're going to release the full report that I wrote for the American people. Be damned, and that's what,
Yeah, it is interesting. Hey, Rocky, what's going on? There's Rock Dashel hopped on here from Syracuse, New York. It's that whole scenario, man, is just, that's when I saw that, it was just crazy. And I mean, his processes and the way that the way it was handled, the way he escaped, everything else. I guess here's the problem I have, right? Maybe I'll put my freaking tinfoil hat on for a second, right? The guy went through the trouble of masking himself, going in, doing what he did, having a getaway, quick getaway, very professional, very clean, right? Use fake IDs, hostile, et cetera. But then they catch him in a freaking McDonald's in Altoona, Pennsylvania, which I'm surprised that they called him in Altoona, Pennsylvania. And he still has he still has the weapon.
Yeah.
He still has the fake ID. So I'm like, I'm being told a story here where the first part of the story is like this masterful, well thought out plan that was quick and seamless. And then the back end of it is freaking the Three Stooges.
Yeah. So he made it to Altoona from New York, and all the opportunities he had to dispose of everything, which they never would have found it. Never. So many places, pull off the side of the road, dig a small hole, bury it. They wouldn't have found it in 1,000 years.
If you're taking that way, you're probably going at least. I mean, that's all wooded area there. You can't swing a dead cat around without hitting a freaking lake, or a pond or something, or some trees, or even the freaking garbage can at the McDonald's and freaking.
They weren't searching those. So it's the
whole story on the back end. Just like I said, it was like the movie The Jackal in the first part, and then the second part was just freaking. Merry melodies with freaking Elmer Fudd.
Yeah, so it just makes you wonder what happened at the end there, or was it I don't know. And then he was acting suspicious. Hey, you ever been to a McDonald's? Everybody's suspicious. Everybody's shady as fuck inside of a McDonald's.
It's Altoona, Pennsylvania, too.
Yeah.
When you're in Altoona, you're close to Puxatawney.
Yeah.
And not the Altoona people. Sorry, Altoona people.
Dump it in the Hudson River with the other 10,000 guns that are probably the Hudson River.
Jesus, I found the back end of that story a little too like, it didn't sound right. So either it'll be interesting how the thing shakes out, whether he held on to everything or kept everything so he would intentionally be caught because he wanted to be caught. Because like you said, he may have a story to tell.
That's what I'm thinking, is he intentionally got caught to tell his story to make a change? Is he gonna martyr himself, to make that change of telling his story in front of a jury of how his mom had breast cancer and was left to die because of the getting denied medical care because she worked at a place for 30 years that had great medical care, but she retired and now she gets crap medical care, whatever it's going to be, and you're hearing those stories already. You're hearing those stories. People are like, I'm not happy that about what happened, but let me tell you my story.
Yeah, no one wants to see anybody, go to that extreme to make your point. I mean, hell, Kevin, I was fired up over, our extended warranty issue on a money that I paid for an extended warranty on a vehicle that I asked a million questions up front to make sure that it was going to be a good extended warranty. And then it's just like, nah, denied. Oh yeah, we're going to use used parts. Yeah, denied. We're going to. You're sitting there thinking, well, why did I dump all this money? So now you take that and you extrapolate that into a hell of a lot more money spent over years and the life of a loved one, the treatment of a loved one.
It's healthy. I've been going through, like I said, so we're coming up on in like 2 weeks. It'll be the 3-year anniversary of my knee injury.
Oh yeah.
For I've been dealing with workers' comp for 3 years now. I've gotten great care. But there's care that I can't get because it's not approved. I had to battle for the PRP treatment, and then I can't even, I can't even seek treatment elsewhere because it's so expensive, and I can't take a payout from workers' comp because it's going to be next to nothing, and I have to quit my job. That's the order. Okay, we'll give you a payout. You just got to quit your job.
Yeah.
What am I going to quit my job for a $20,000 payout? $15,000? Get the fuck out of here.
Right. Or if you go to see a doctor that's not approved, then the claim's denied, then it's null and void.
Yeah, exactly. So now I just screw it to them, and I keep going to my doctor every few months, and making them pay the $500-600 medical visit for that, and then I'll just do that for the rest of my life. I will keep this case open. I will go down in Guinness World Records for the longest open workers' comp case in history. So
that'll be funny. So now that we got those two topics out of the way, I want to talk to you about your weekend. Jennifer and I were very sad again that we couldn't make it down to Ybor City. But it looks like you had a great time. I want to hear about it because when we went like 3 years ago, right, we had a blast. It was great. And I think you all went like the next year after that, and it was horrible. Or it was 2 years after that. And then then the person who originally would the person who owned it and organized the festival took it back over again and kind of got it back to its rightful fantastic event.
So 3 years ago, you guys came down, and it was the best event that it had ever been in the history of the Ybor City Cigar Heritage Festival. Then the next year, it was just as good the next year, but they left the park in a shambles. They left it destroyed. They didn't clean up. They didn't do anything. So Ybor City said, no more. You're not allowed back at Centennial Park. So they had it down the street at the Cuban Club, which is, a nice club, but it's nowhere to hold, a festival in a big asphalt parking lot is all it was.
Right.
And it was a horrible festival. So that was the year that Lisa had taken it back over. She's like, you know what? You guys had it 2 years. You ruined it. I'm taking the festival back over. I'm going to make it great again. So that was this year's festival, this past Sunday. It was half the festival that you had the experience care, because there was still a lot of manufacturers that were hesitant about coming back.
Yeah.
I spoke with a lot of them. Hey, are you coming back? Or like, we want to see how this year goes. We want to give it a year and then see how it goes. So there weren't a ton of people there, but it was still a fun event.
Yeah.
We only stayed for 2 hours because we had a lunch engagement afterwards. So we kind of went up there because we knew a lot of people were going to be there. We wanted to talk, see our friends, hang out, get some pictures. I had to pick up some of my cigars that the guys over at Single Barrel were aging for us. So they brought me a 5-pack to test out. So it was fun. It was getting to see everybody and getting a bunch of free cigars because I'm famous.
You are famous. Or was it Jessica? Was it because of Jessica?
No, all me.
All you?
All me.
Fair enough.
They're handing us cigars. So it's nice just get caught up, see people that flow in from around the country. So you took a bunch of pictures with people, and you get to put a face with a name. Like you follow each other on Instagram or Facebook, and it's nice to meet those people and meet their spouses, and it's super, super fun time.
So 2 hours. I'm gonna put you a little bit of hot seat here. Not 2 hours. What was your favorite part about being there?
It really was just meeting, just the some of the like yeah. So so my favorite part of being there was Jessica and I getting to talk with Rick Rodriguez of West Tampa Tobacco. And we talked with him for about 20 minutes, and we didn't talk about cigars. We talked about family. His daughter, moved to North Carolina. We talked about her journey, and it was so sweet because as a dad, his heart was broken. His baby girl, moves away. She's not too far away, but she called him because she's hanging her Christmas tree for the first time, and the lights weren't doing their thing. And she wanted him to come up there and hang the lights and get them situated on her tree. And he's like, I can't come up there just to hang. And he said that with such pain in his heart and his voice. He goes, as a dad, he goes, that's our responsibility. And he goes,
yeah,
but I couldn't get away to go hang her lights. And, so we just talked about her journey and everything else. Sarah's such an amazing young woman and definitely going to take over that company someday. So that was our favorite part, because we didn't talk about cigars. We just talked about family, so that was fun.
That was your best part. So, what was the biggest surprise?
We didn't see any music set, so I'm assuming they had to have a band at one time, but we didn't see them setting up. We were there until like noon, so that was kind of weird. It was a surprise not to see as many vendors. I really thought there would be more than there was. I'm not a fan of inviting Cigars International. There were a couple local retailers. Tobacco Depot is local to that area. They were set up with West Tampa cigars, so I found that completely justifiable. But to have like Cigars International, like have like a big box retailer there, I didn't like that. No. I think that goes against the meaning of the festival.
Okay. So you were surprised by the lack of folks. Who was the one person, whether it's a cigar manufacturer or maybe someone that you've have interacted with online, that was the highlight of meeting, or it was great to finally meet them in person?
We had a few of those. Brandon Marsh from Big Sky Cigars. They came all the way out from Wyoming or Montana. They came all the way out for this event. We just interviewed Maurice Mears again, JM Patriarch. He was there. What a massive guy. He stood up and just go like, "You're a lot bigger than I thought." And I go, "He used to play football."
Yeah, he was an offensive lineman. He freaking one of the pros.
Yeah. Arnold Seraphin from Seraphin de Cuba. We just interviewed him. Super fan. Doc Rodriguez, Oscar, just talking with him is always so much fun.
I know. Exhausting after you talk to him. You gotta sit down for a moment, right? You gotta catch your breath.
I know. So it was great. He's such a natural salesman, man. People come up and to hear this man sell a cigar, and it's not telling a story, it's anything else, but it's just engaging with that person instantly. And he was just a magician, of selling cigars. Now, the one person I wanted to say something to, but I didn't, I just walked by his booth, because I really wanted to thank him for being such a dick to me, in how he treated, so we met a guy there last year, and he had he's selling 3D printed stuff, right? Cigar cases and stuff like that. So we struck up a conversation. I got his business card. We started a design. I didn't know anything about 3D printing then. I just knew what I wanted. Right. And it was a good start for relationship, back and forth for about a month. Completely ghosted me, not answering my emails, not answering my text messages, my calls, nothing. And then it made me so mad. I'm like, you know what? I'm just going to buy my own 3D printer. Just going to buy my own. Screw that guy. I already have the design that we started on. So I sent that off to a designer. He finished the design. And a month after I bought my first 3D printer, I bought my second one. They're both going right now. They're running 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. They're both paid for themselves within 30 days of buying them. I want to buy at least one or two more. So I wanted to go up to him. I go, "Hey, I really appreciate you ghosting me, because, you would have made, I didn't. I just walked by.
No, success is something. They say success is the best form of revenge, or whatever that saying is.
I hope he sees that product that he started designing with me online and just kicks himself in the ass every day. And maybe in the future, when someone, starts a project, he maybe finishes that project. But that we've come across so many times. These people, that's why it's hard for us to do business with small companies. They always say shop local, shop local. I've been burned local so many times. So many times I have been burned local and having to start projects over, costing me so much more money. Now we do local with some smaller companies, and knock on wood, we've had good luck. But for every one company that is a success, there's 6 that I've been burned by.
It's tough though, because I always, I definitely believe in, buy local, support your local business, right? But yeah. I think that is one. There are some like you said, it's like there's a woodworking place who was like, hey, I'm looking at something like this. Here's what I'm looking for. I'd like to get a logo, the size. Okay, I'll get back to you. Never get back to you. And then I'm sitting there going, wait, I'm chasing after you for a product that I want to buy from you, and you are blowing me off. I mean, if it, I'd rather have someone say, you know what, I don't have time for it. We're just too big. We got too much going on. Or, you know what, we can't do that project. We're not prepared, or something like that. Kevin, I even went, years ago, we went to a festival up in Hendersonville, North Carolina. And they shut down the streets, and they had this big thing. And there's a vendor there. There's this kid and his dad, and they had all these really cool wooden things. He's like, oh, yeah, we got this laser freaking blah, 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 Okay, great. I showed him my logo. Want to do this? Yeah. Never heard from him. And I'm like, I said, how much did you charge for that? I can't remember what it was anymore. It was like, oh, they charge $150. Okay, great. Like, didn't even freaking question the price. Not once. But you hear nothing from them at all.
Yeah.
It's sometimes, like you said, you make an effort to support local. There's, some places around here, whether it's a cigar shop or a lounge or whatever, you try and support them, but you're like, hey, this is a two-way street. I got a cigar brand. If I'm going to support you, I'm a local business owner. So if you are going to preach, support your local business, and I'm in here supporting you, then wouldn't it make sense to bring in a local cigar? And there's some folks that kind of turn their nose up, and I'm like, you fucking hypocrite. Don't expect me to support your fucking business or your local cigar lounge if you won't even give a local cigar brand a try. I'll buy your fucking $6, $7 bourbons. I'll pay for your cigars. And I'm not asking you just to try the cigars. So, they taste really good. These are really great. Oh yeah, I love the barber pole. Yeah, you bring them in. No, well, I don't know if there's a place for it here. We kind of stuck in our ways. Yeah, the one shop right up the road from me, it's like the Santa Clara catalog with a bar. Because that's where they buy their shit from.
Yeah.
So, it's a two-way street. It's a two-way street, and if you're going to walk the walk, or if you're going to talk the talk, you got to walk the walk.
You do, but yeah, it's a tricky situation with now I don't do, I get people to reach out to me on custom projects, like with the 3D printer and everything else. Hey, I want to have this done. I'm like, I'll be honest with you, man. Like, I'm not your guy. It's like, if you get me a design, that's 100% done and printable, I can make you something, but I don't have the time to go back and forth. I've already done that once, and the guy kind of got irritated a little bit at the price, and it's like, it's $100 to start this process. And I'll tell you how it goes along the way. And it's like, oh, that's kind of a lot. And I'm like, my time is valuable, so, you don't have a design. So I gotta get all of your thoughts. I got to send it over to my design guy. He's got to design this. I'll send it to you. You can see a picture of it, and then we print it. I'm like, oh, hey, this didn't come out. We need to redesign it. So there's another redesign fee, and it's back and forth. And by, a month later, we finally have one printed design, and it's like, I'm not your guy.
But I'd rather have someone be honest and say, I'm not your guy, then, ghost you,
Yeah.
or, sit there and say, hey, this product's great. This is, this tastes awesome. This is that. Nah, it's like saying, I went to the movies, great acting, great storyline. Oh my gosh, the freaking great special effects. What do you give it? 2 stars.
Yeah.
It doesn't make sense.
Yeah. I got a local guy that just getting into laser printing or laser cutting, engraving. And he's got a really nice machine, and wanted to know if there's anything I can do for him, and I'm like, I'm really happy with my laser guy, but I gave him the cigar propometer behind you there.
Yeah.
And I'm like, and it's a friend that his friend owns the company. So I'm like, hey, give this to your buddy, see what kind of price he can get me on these. I buy, 100 to 200 at a time. And then, so, like a week goes by, and he comes back and he's like, hey, he says it's definitely something he can do. What kind of price are you paying now? And I go, I'm not telling you that.
Right.
I go, give me a price, because I don't want him to, have a price in his mind of, hey, I can do these for like $4 cheaper, but he's already paying this. I'm just going to tell him it's $1 cheaper. He's going to jump on it because he's saving money. And I'm like, no, it's not how this works. I go, you tell me a price, and then, then from there I can say, hey, that's a little higher than what I'm paying. Or, if it's lower, I'm like, oh, hell yeah, I'll take 500 now before you realize these are a bitch to make and you change your mind, so, but
yeah, that's funny. Hey, how much you're paying? Oh my gosh, we're just a little bit above that.
Yeah. So
don't say.
Yeah. So yeah, it's tough working with smaller companies, some of these companies, they just get in over their head, and over promise, under deliver. And then it just, bigger companies, I have to wait a little bit longer, but my pricing is always the same, and
it's consistent.
Consistent. It's funny. I just had to order another set of the bleed tips for the bleed tools from the machine shop, and I got to order 5,000 at a time. And the prices slowly the price of metals have gone up. I was paying 50 cents a piece at one time. Now I'm paying $1 a piece just for that brass tip, because it's made in the USA. It's like, you know what? I'll just pay it. I'll have to raise my prices a little bit next year by like 25 cents, because just material in general. But I was looking at it. That little tiny piece, $1 just for that brass piece. But there's a lot that goes into it.
Yeah.
It's not a stamp. That's it's $1 million machine that cranks that thing out. But I was assembling some last week, and I keep them in a giant Gatorade jar when they come in. And I also have an applesauce jar with all of the rejects, because some just don't come out, they'll miss a hole, or it doesn't fit quite right. So I've been using this company for on this one, it's the entire time. I've been using this company for 5 years now. The entire time I've been making them, I have like 12 in that defect, out of the 25,000 pieces that I've ordered, I have like 12 defects. So that's the joys of having a larger company, producing these.
So let me ask you a question, Kev. You have this unique tool, right? And you see all the different tools that get nominated and awarded for whatever cigar journal, this and blah, blah, blah. And I don't know. I seem to notice that a lot of tools that get recognition are tools to fix cigars that are not rolled properly.
Yeah.
A lot of pokers. Hey, you know what? Is your cigar too tight? This one here, look at this. It's surgical steel. You can spin it and turn it. This is the best thing in the world. So it seems kind of ironic that a tool that is designed to really kind of try and make the best out of a very bad situation is always nominated. But do you get frustrated when you have a tool like this that saves lighters on how, I mean, it doesn't matter whether it's a $10 lighter like this, right?
Yeah.
Or if it's a $100 lighter, a $200 lighter, you know, you're not sticking a pen down there. You're not sticking a piece of metal, a small screwdriver. This actually has the tube, and it's the perfect size to fit snugly over the stem. But the one thing that I always thought was pretty cool was that at the very tippy top, probably can't see it here, that there are two small holes at the very tippy top that allow the gas to shoot out of and give it a place to go versus all over your hand and everywhere else. So doesn't it get a little frustrating for you that something like this doesn't get the recognition it so rightly deserves?
Because those contests are rigged. It's plain and simple.
I know they're rigged. I'm asking you to.
Yeah. You ever see those contests and it's always the Cigar this, the Calibre that, the Visol this, and it's always the companies, because when those companies get nominated, what those companies do is they send out to their millions of followers, hey, go and nominate us on this platform that collects your email address to pull. So now you're in their mailing list. Mm-hmm. So, and then that brings, I don't know, not millions, but probably tens of thousands of people to this publication. And that's what they want. You know, they say, oh, nominate your favorite company now. And it's always bullshit, you know, because they never release, you know, the voting, the rent, nothing else. No, it's always like, hey, these are the 6 companies. I'm like, really? The Cigar made a different color of their EXO cutter this year, and that made #1 because everybody says the new blue one cuts smoother than everything else. Get the fuck out of here. Yeah, you know, this contests are rigged to create as much, to gather more email addresses, and that's it, because they know that if Cigar Prop gets nominated, yes, I will put that out to my 35,000 Instagram followers, but they're not 250,000 Instagram followers. So that company's not. So yeah, it does make it. It does.
I was gonna say, does that burn your ass even more? I mean, knowing that part, when you definitely, Ryan, the color blue is sharper. Thanks, Ryan.
Yeah. That's it. The color blue is definitely sharper. You know, and but yeah, so it chaps my ass a little bit, but at the end of the day, I just ignore them now. I really don't care, because they're all pay to play.
Yeah, I've seen some of the brands that are nominated, and I've seen some of them like, you're kind of good friends with one of the guys who writes there. I don't know if so you're really, again, 5th year in a row nominated.
Yeah. 5th. Yeah, that is weird.
It's always a different one of your brands. It's never.
It's always something. You know, it's like you're not going to see, you know, the Dunbarton, you know, the cutter, the best cutter on the market. You're not going to see that nominated. You'll see an LE Blue, you know, because LE Blue's massive, but you won't even see those, because LE Blue doesn't give a shit about advertising. It's these companies, you know, so you're going to see the companies that
use one.
I
only used it once.
I use mine constantly.
Yeah, I'm kind of weird about it. It sits kind of here, and I just kind of, you know, say good morning to Steve, and that's about it.
Yeah,
you know.
Oh, you're on mute.
Fat ass, probably something hit something or other.
So it chaps me a little bit, but you know, it is what it is. I know I make a good product. I love the bleed tool, because you know Cigar makes their own version of that. You know, I've never seen anybody ever post a picture of it on social media ever. I know I'm kicking their ass in sales, you know, on that. So that makes me happy. It makes me happy when you go on Amazon and you search for anything cigar related, anything. And when you scroll down, what do they recommend along with that hygrometer, that tray? They recommend a Cigar Prop bleed tool. They usually always recommend my product. So
that's awesome. Yeah, I mean, I hear where you're coming from. It's like it is what it is. You understand that, it's a little slanted, but it's still got to be frustrating, especially when you put a lot of work into a product that is, I mean, actually has a good use, a use on a regular basis, and one that will ensure that you're not only spending money on that bleeder tool, but you're also um, extending the life of your lighter based off of how much. And I am the king of sticking stupid shit in a lighter to bleed it.
Yeah.
It's like, can I fit? That chopstick looks like it's a little thin on the end. Maybe I can.
Yeah.
No, but ever since you gave me that, it sits on my desk, and that's really. I'll go through when we get a new bottle of butane. I bleed every one of the lighters with that.
Yeah, yeah. Well, not the other. Last week was a lighter bleeding day because it got to the point where Jessica and I was fighting over the last filled butane lighter. We have like we no lie have 40 or 50 lighters laying around.
Yeah, same here. We have a
every single we have several baskets laying around, and then we had all but one. One had just enough butane in it, and we were fighting. She goes, "What'd you do with my lighter?" I go, "I used it. It's the only one we have." So I spent the day, laid them all out.
Yep.
Filled every single one, so
that's what Jen and I did too. We have a basket. Thank you for topping me and say you have several baskets, but we have a basket of lighters. And I laid, like you did, I laid them all out. I wiped them all off, cleaned them all up, bled them, and refilled them because we were like, we're going, shaking it like, okay, I think I can get one more light out of this. I'm like,
yeah, oh yeah.
For Christ's sakes, Jennifer, on your way home, just pick up a bottle. And I actually ended up picking up a bottle at the one cigar shop down in Columbia, and I got home, popped the lid, went to fill the first lighter. Gas starts shooting at the bottom of the stem of the can.
Oh, I had that. That's why I don't buy the big can. I try not to buy the big cans anymore because I found I don't know if it's the way I hold it. I like the smaller cans.
It happened right away, immediately, and then everyone so I had to throw it away. $15, whatever that was, blown. And then I got the Calibri. The bottle's a little bit bigger. I got it, but we did the same thing, and I always make sure I got myself a Bic. I always have a backup small Bic.
I carry a Bic in my truck. There's always a Bic in my truck, always.
Yep. And we got some matches around here too, but. After a while, it's just like, I pick on Jennifer. I won't say too much tonight because she might be watching. And the last time I said something, I got yelled at. But, Jennifer sometimes has a hard time finding the trash can of things. So, because it's so far away from where we sit. But yeah, I always make sure I have a Bic handy as well because I do like that soft flame. I do, but that's usually my backup to the backup.
Yeah, we saw a lot of lighters this weekend at the festival. Some of these we have a new lighter, like these boutique cigar companies. And we saw one. Oh, look, it's got you hold it this way, and it's got a soft flame, and then it's got a jet flame, and it's all fancy and got a dragon on it or something or whatever it was. And we saw a couple different versions of it, and like, oh, it's $25. I'm like, I buy those on Alibaba for $250.
Yeah.
And like, I don't understand why you're charging. I have mine, like that little cheap one that I sell on my website, for like $5 or something. If you buy anything, you get it for $5. And I pay $2.50 for those, so if you buy something, I sell it to you. I don't make any money on it.
Yeah.
It's one of those giveaways. I don't, yeah, it's a wash because everybody wants a good lighter. So I just found a good lighter and I just essentially give them away.
Well, that's you know what? It always seems like those cheaper lighters, like the ones that last the longest for me. And I still have them. It's like my freaking $10 freaking lighter that I bought. Or believe it or not, those, and I know they're a dime a dozen because everybody has their brand on it. There's little single flame lighters.
I've got a tray that has.
I have like a bunch of them.
4, 5, 6, 7. I can see 8 of them in this little tray I have, and they're fantastic.
Oh yeah, I got, like, I think you sent me some. I know we got a bunch at different events, or we buy, cigars, you get them. You got the McAuliffe. I got like 3 different colors of McAuliffe ones, and they last forever, man.
They are. Once we're out of the ones we have, I'm switching over to those, because those are cheap. Those are like $1.50, like $1, and depending on how many you buy. If you buy enough of them, you can get them for $1 a piece. But $1.50, I think it's $1.75 with your logo screen printed on there, and it's super because they're all made in the same place. So there's one square city block in China that makes 99% of the world's lighters. It's a town. That block is its own town. The only thing that town produces are lighters. That's all they do.
They got a kick-ass fire station.
Yeah, I bet they do. So but yes, that's all that factor, all the factories and that town, they only produce one thing: lighters.
What's up, Robert? I do prefer a triple lighter. I like a bigger surface, if you will, a bigger lighting. But those single flames, man, they just a couple of years ago, I had Bugatti as a sponsor, and they sent me a lighter. It was beautiful. They had the little individual canisters, kind of like you get the CO2 pistols. So they had butane little individuals, and the whole concept of that was great, right? You don't have to worry about freaking buying, a fucked up, jacked up, bottle and bleeding out. But man, it kept blowing a seal.
Yeah, that was the biggest downfall, and then it kept blowing seals on them.
I went through. They sent me 3 lighters in a period of like 4 months, and I just said, I can't do this anymore. I can't listen.
Yeah, they never recovered after that theft in their warehouse. They never recovered after that.
Did they steal all the good seals?
Yeah.
Because it was like it would great lighter, and then you would just hear it pop, and then it would stop working. Or the one time it popped and this real big soft flame came out, and a flame engulfed my hands, and all the gas leaked out, and I was like, son of a bitch. But I felt bad because it was a sharp looking lighter. I love the concept. I love the ability to be able to change the tops. Again, you could actually replace the jet. Instead of throwing it out or getting some fluid and cleaning it up if it got clogged up. The whole concept and the whole idea behind it was very transformery and very cool, but just could not sustain the seals. It was not sustain the sustainability was just not there.
After the festival, we went over to my buddy Ray's Mouthhole Smash Burgers barbecue in Sarasota, and he had on the table. He was closed, so we were all there just smoking cigars. He had like the chef's torch, for like torching creme brulee, and it's a torch attached to a full can of fuel. It snaps on a can of fuel, so there's no refilling it. And I'm like, oh, and it was the flame was a little big. I was gonna see if they make different size flames, but I'm like, that's just
you get smaller ones. But I mean, but it's the same concept of that gun lighter that you sent me.
Yeah,
it looks like the same thing. I mean, it's basically if you go into some lounges, you'll see a lighter. I'm like, that motherfucker there. That they use that to freaking make creme brulee. That's not a cigar lighter.
Yeah,
but it's the same concept. It's the same thing.
Yeah, same concept. So it's so I'm gonna look into those and see if anybody makes a smaller one than like having a giant can. But
so Kevin, let me ask you something. What is the most interesting thing that happened to you at work? And for those who are watching the show, Kevin is the premier master mechanic. He's been in the field for what, 30 years?
Probably 25 years now.
25 years. He's a master mechanic, very knowledgeable. I mean, all the stuff you hear Kevin talking about, that are cigar related, or some of these things that he sells and he creates and builds them on his own. You can imagine he takes the same care and the same direct concept when dealing with folks, but the same care and the same workmanship and craftsmanship in his day-to-day work as a mechanic. But Kevin always has funny stories. I need to hear a funny story this week.
I have a funny story from today, and I didn't even go to work. So I had to go out earlier and renew my security license because I don't ever want to take that test again. So I just keep it renewed every 2 years. So Jessica messaged me, "Hey, Chris, our neighbor, he's also my lawn guy. Chris having some issues with his car." So I'm like, "All right, I'll send him a text. Hey, I got to run out real quick. I'll be over there like half an hour." So I go over there to his house and I'm like, "Hey, what's going on?" "Hey, my car battery died. Car won't start now, won't even turn. It's a push button and it won't turn on, this and that." And I'm like, "Oh, that's kind of strange." So I'm looking at everything. His key fobs aren't working. Lock the car. The key fob. So I did some like resets, that I could do. No, nothing. And he goes, "Yeah, I go, what are the odds the batteries in these key fobs are dead?" Because he had his that he normally uses, and then one like all of us that we never use. And then he goes, I replaced the battery in the one and it's good. So I'm like, all right, let me take a look at it. So I still popped it open and I'm like, all right, just CRC 2032. It's the right battery that goes in it. And then I pop it out and I'm looking, I go, "I'm pretty sure you have this in upside down." If
it was backwards.
This diagram, right? I'm like, "Let me see that other one." So, and I go, "Have you ever replaced it?" He goes, "No, it's brand new. We got it." And it's never. So I popped it open and the battery was in the same position that he had his other one in. And I'm like, all right, so we know the battery's in, right? Just meant that diagram just a little off. So I had to get on my Google because I didn't have access to my computer at work for my diagnostic tree. So I had to watch a couple of YouTube videos, of people, experiencing the same issue. And then none of that worked. I'm like, I'm going to put that battery in the other way, the way I think it goes. So put the battery in, disconnected the battery from the car, did a key thing, and then put the key fob in the cup holder, because a lot of people don't realize if your key fob battery dies, like there's a chip in there that your car will recognize. So there's somewhere in your car that you can put that key fob where your car will recognize it. Like my truck, it's in the center console. There's like a little slot. I can set it in there, and then it's just on the back side of that. So on his, it's in the cup hole. It's underneath the cup holder. So I set it in there. Car fired right up. Like, there you go. But it all came about because he was a consumer, the average person that thought that they could just put a battery in their car by themselves after it died. And the average person thinks, yeah, that's like the easiest thing I can do is put a battery in. Well, it's not.
How old is he?
Chris is probably in his mid 30s.
So I was wondering how old he was, because it's like, like my age and generation where it was something simple to do.
Yeah. So now I told him, I said,
I put in cars is fucking.
Yeah, I said, going in the future, you have to have a thing that plugs into your OBD2 port underneath your dashboard. Where I plug my scanner in to read your codes and diagnose your engine, your troubles. So they make a thing that you plug in there, and it's got a 12-volt battery supply. So it keeps your memory alive and keeps the computer alive while you're changing out the battery. You have to do that on 90% of all the cars.
That's
because
crazy.
if you don't, you will wreck some stuff. There are cars that, Toyota Camry. If you don't do that, now a car will get towed in. Customer tried it himself. Oh, it's running like poop. I'm like, all right, it's like $140 for what? Because now I have to reset everything through my scanner. I got to sit here and let it run for an hour so it can relearn what they call the ADAPTs. So it can relearn all of its parameters.
Yeah.
Just because you didn't have that tool to put it in. But then it's just same
thing.
When
you get a tool like that, is that something you just buy at Advanced Auto, or would you have to?
You can't. Sometimes they're real cheap. You can put where it's just the little plug-in port, and you can put a 9-volt battery, on there, and just get enough juice to keep that computer to keep the computer memory alive. Like I tell people, I said, if you have jumper cables and you can put the jumper cables on the terminals and then put them on the new battery, then when you take the terminals off, you're still keeping that juice alive, and you can swap them out real quick, but that's always a pain. But yeah, so that's a big thing. And then people get towing their cars in because they try to attempt their own brakes, or people bring in their cars in because their neighbor did their brakes because they got a quote from me for $400 and their neighbor destroys everything. And now it's an $800 quote because now I'm replacing calipers or something else.
Yeah.
And, and it's just like, well, I understand you gave me a quote 2 weeks ago for like $400 and he only charged me $150. And I go, yeah, you wrecked everything, wrecked it all. Nothing I can do with it. So now we got to start over. And those are always the funny ones. It's like, you should have paid this to begin with, and it's just, it is what it is.
Yeah, it's amazing how the technology now. That's why I was asking his age, because I remember how many freaking batteries, I've had to put in vehicles and a bunch of other things. Now it's like my dad's a mechanic, he was a mechanic his whole life, and he's 83 now. He doesn't work on cars, but back in the day, whenever we got a car, my dad would always buy a used car, an old clunker, he'd call it, one that he could work on. He's like, I can work on this vehicle. Therefore, if something goes wrong with it, I'm not spending money. I paid a little bit, I didn't pay a lot of money for it, but if anything goes wrong with it, my father's got a garage. My uncle owns a dealership. They have a garage. If I really need something big, my friend's got a garage, but more importantly, I could do most of the work on the street and have no problem at all with it. Now my dad says he looks in the pops the hood. He's like, I don't even know what the hell I'm looking at anymore.
Yeah, and it's mind boggling, of some of the stuff. I'm one of the few technicians, that I run into in my company that I'm constantly reading. I'm constantly trying to learn what the new things that are coming out. So a month or so ago, there was I noticed one of the technicians, the other lead tech I work with, getting ready to do a brake job, and I go, whoa, hold on a second. I go, did you suck the fluid out of the master cylinder before you start that? He goes, no, I'm just doing front brakes, and I'm like, no, you have to. And he's like, he goes, do it. And I go, stop. I'm not kidding. You're about to do $3,000 worth of damage to this car. Suck out the master cylinder. And we don't know why. We're not giving a reason by GM why I have to suck out half the fluid from the master cylinder before I do the brake job, because they're just saying you're going to damage the ABS pump. And if you don't do it, we're not kidding. This is a service procedure. And, he's one of the guys that, I'm a tech, like I said, before I start, I could do an alternator. I just did an alternator Thursday before I left work on a 2020 Chevy Traverse. I've done an alternator 1,000 times over my career. First thing I do, I go to the computer. How do I change the alternator on this vehicle? How do I change the valve cover on this vehicle? How do I do anything? Because I want to know if a service procedure has changed, because I don't want to be the guy that wrecks something, for not looking. So you got to be careful out there. There's still a lot of those, the mechanics that are in there. Like the scary age for me is the guys that are in there. Well, it'd be my age, really, 46 to like 60. Those are the guys that they're not up on the new stuff. If you're driving something, if you're driving
30 years, 40 years,
they've been doing it for 30. I used to teach welding. I've been doing this for 30 years. I'm surprised you haven't killed somebody. But yeah, those some of them older technicians, they don't like keeping up. I'm just going to do it. I don't have, I'm like, I look at everything. I look at torque specs. I don't just tighten it down. Just tighten it down. It's good. Just tighten it down.
I always laugh that I've been doing it 30 years. It's like, listen, just because you've been doing it for 30 years doesn't mean you've been doing it good for 30 years. There's a lot of people who've been doing a lot of shit for a long period of time.
Yeah, like I said, things on the, and I'm just thankful I'm on my way out. I'm only a few years from retirement, so I don't have to deal with this crap for too much longer, because it's getting harder to work on cars, but it's getting way easier. If you give me a choice of working on a 2021 something or a 2002, I'll choose the new car every day of the week, because it is so much easier to work on them, to replace things, but it's harder to diagnose them, so which makes it tough.
It's funny you talk about those service announcements, because we had the issue with our rear end with the Bronco.
Yeah.
And so with the first place we had taken it to, they're like, it needs a whole new rear end. Okay, great. So I talked to the guy down at the down at the dealership we bought it from, which is about 40 minutes away. So we're like, okay, we'll bring it down to you. You have more control over it. Brought it down to him. Actually, I got to call that guy tomorrow. He was the finance manager. And, we start hearing the stories. This warranty that you have is one of the warranties that a lot of people are having issues with. So they actually switched to a better warranty company. I'm like, that does me no good right now. Yeah. So the guy down there is like, hey, listen, we got a service memo that, there's been issues with the rear end. And the first step they're asking us to do is to go through this servicing of the rear end before we go into a full, replacement. I said, all right, do what you got to do. So I called him last week. I said, hey, I haven't heard back from anybody. A guy calls back, he's up, ready to go. I go, what? He goes, the servicing worked.
Yeah.
I was like, what needed to be done? We just drained the oil. We drained everything out of the rear. I go, was there any metal shavings, anything like that? He goes, nope. He goes, everything was clean. He goes, and then we use this high lubricant, this special whatever that the Ford wants us to use.
Yeah, it's called it's LP. I know what you're talking about. It's expensive as fuck too. Like I can't get it half the time.
But what he told me, he's like, because I haven't. He goes, it worked. He goes, I drove your car. It worked. Come here. I go, how much? He goes, they picked it up for you. So it was. We were quoted at it being about a $500 job to get this servicing done on the vehicle, and the dealership picked it up. So I was hats off to Anderson Ford. I felt like we went through a little too much bullshit in order to get to that point. You shouldn't have to lean on someone that hard to have something done that it should have been done and done right. Especially when they, if you're getting an announcement from Ford saying, hey, there's been some issues, this is the service, it's like, okay, well, then it's a problem. It may not reach a recall level, but there still is a pattern forming of issues with these vehicles. And if there's a pattern forming with an issue with these vehicles and it's requiring a servicing of it, then it should be covered.
They're called technical service bulletins. They used to be called campaigns back in the day, but technical service bulletins. So people listening, like I said, you can go online and you can look up technical service bulletins for free on your vehicle. And there may be things that you can have done that you're not experiencing issues with that can make things better. So it's one thing that I always look up on every vehicle is technical service bulletins, like what technical TSBs are on this vehicle. That may be related to what I'm dealing with, and a lot of them are fluid changes, or, hey, you got to get this coolant out of there and you got to put this, flush the system, then put this additive in, or you got to do the rear end and then put that fluid in that I know what fluid you're talking about. Super expensive. But yeah, there are little things like that. Air filters, you price out, hey, you got to get that air filter out of there. We updated the air filter. We glued all the pleats together. We put a foam pad on there, and that's it's reduced the noise from the engine from it coming in. People are like, hey, my engine's kind of loud. Well, let's put a new filter in it.
Right.
So yeah, technical service bulletins. They're out there. People should look them up.
Yeah.
And you never know. You never know what's going on. We had one probably going back about a year ago, and it was if you ever put fuel in your car and it backs up, and they're vent valves, and the technical service bulletin was, because every gas tank has a vent hose, and the only technical service bulletin was cut exactly 4 inches off the hose and zip tie it to this hose, and that'll fix the problem. And I'm like, get out of here. So I told the customer, I go, hey, this is what the technical service bulletin is. It's going to be a $20 fix for a little bit of my time. We won't know until you go to fill up with gas again. He filled up with gas next time, came in, and goes, no issues. That was it. I had to cut 4 inches off this hose and zip tie it to a new location.
Really?
That's all it was.
That's funny. Yeah, it was it is pretty amazing. And it was amazing that the one dealership they got the service manager did a little bit digging. Like you said, you may have been doing your job for a period of time. Doesn't mean you're good or you're reading up or you're aware of these things. But, then Jennifer gets online and she starts, you get on to these, these different groups that own the vehicles, Ford Bronco group, whatever.
Oh, I'm in all. I look at all those groups.
And she's looking through this, and she's been seeing a pattern forming with this rear end issue. And this will make you laugh. Someone posted, I had this issue. I went in, and they had to replace the whole rear end, and it wasn't covered. And then the service technician said, the problem is that your tires are too big on the vehicle.
Yeah.
And she said, and the words back are, you put the fucking tires on the vehicle. These are the tires that came with the vehicle from the manufacturer. So let's take a brief moment here to think about this.
We get that all the time. I just had that happen last week, and a customer, my tires are noisy. So he's explaining everything behind the counter. I read in the forum that, because we increased his tire size on his truck, which trucks you can go up several tire sizes. I can actually reset your computer. I'm like, hey, if this vehicle came with a larger tire, you may not have had that option, but you can, like with your package, but I can put that bigger tire on. I can go in there and I can tell your computer that we put a bigger tire on.
Right.
I'm listening to the story. I'm like, it's not the tires. I go, you got a bad bearing. And he goes, I was in a couple of forums, and I'm like, I don't know what to tell you, guy. I go, you got a bad bearing. So we end up pulling it in, put it up in the air, and then had someone sitting up in the vehicle with putting it in gear with all four tires turning. We had our stethoscope in, and bam, pinion bearing howling. I'm like, there you go. There's your bearing. You need a rebuilt rear end.
Yeah,
like $2,000. Like we don't do that. That's not what we do. You're gonna have to take it to another shop. So, but we get the forum, but I do hunt those forums when we get those real weird situations.
Yeah,
we get a noise or something. Like what? And I'm like, let's go hop on a forum, and then people are like, oh hey, I found this, I'm like, oh hey, that sounds like a good fix. So we try it every now and then. It doesn't always work, but it's like, bam, it works. Some them foreign guys, they know their stuff on some of the forums.
Yeah. I found it kind of comical. And like I said, I had to laugh my ass off when I was like, the tires are too big. Well, these are the tires it came with. So tell me, where the problem lies. I get that maybe the tires are too fat. You're getting too much traction, too much torque, maybe in the back end, causing some issues. But you are the ones who sold the vehicle with these tires on it. Then maybe you guys should replace the tires and put, the proper tire size on there.
Yeah, we get that with the Jeep guys. Jeep people. They're the worst. Because they want to put giant tires on their vehicle. We'll get them coming in all day long and lift it up and everything else. And I refuse to do brakes on those vehicles. I'm like, not doing it. Because the brakes were designed for this tire. You went up 8 sizes, 3 higher load rating, and you put spacers on there. I can't warranty my brakes, and then I'll see it back 6 months later from another tech. And they'll be like, oh, hey, so Eric did this brake job and the guy's coming back. I'm like, no, the guy can come back when Eric's here. I don't do brakes on those big lifted vehicles. It just, we should never have done them in the first place. They need to upgrade their braking system for that, and it just, but they're the first and always complaining. You put the big dumb tires on there. Oh, hey, it wanders around the road. Oh, you think so?
Yeah.
You think so? You went from a tire that took 36 PSI from the factory. You put on a 10-ply tire that has a maximum inflation range of 80. You got to put at least 50 in it, to get any wear on the tires. And then now you're skating down the road and you're having a problem. It's not my problem. That's your problem.
Yeah. I remember when I bought my Jeep, it was a 79 CJ7 and we got it. And it already had like a spacer lift on it. I think it was 3 inches on it.
Yeah.
And then end up getting like the big 33, like the big tires. I was like, fucking, 19, 20 at a.
Oh yeah. Jeep. Yeah.
This was the best in the world. And, had a 304 in it, so it had balls beyond belief, and 3-speed, a shift, and hey, I like to spin the tires out and then chirp them in second, and yeah, you snap an axle in the rear. Yeah, so I snapped my rear axle. I came home, locked in the hubs, had the 4-wheel drive in, pulled in the driveway, and my dad just walked out and he goes, "Driving like an idiot, weren't you?" I'm like, "No, no, I was driving normal, Dad." He's like, "The tires are too wide. You got too much torque. You gunned it. You snapped the axle, you dumbass."
Yeah.
Now I got to replace the axle, and then I got to go and look at the rear end to see what's going on. So there, me and my dad were out in the freaking out in the front driveway with jacked up, freaking, and then we had to go down to his buddy's, garage, putting in an axle, putting in a rear end because, yep, I was like, yeah, you got it, Dad. I'm not going to admit to it, but yep, I just popped it one too many times. He's like, "You're putting too much stress on that, you dummy. You got too big a tire, too wide a tire, and it's an accident waiting to happen there, dummy."
Yeah, that's it. It's I don't know. It's the things that people do to their cars. It's always Jeeps and trucks.
Oh yeah, I was an idiot Jeep guy. I was back in the day for a couple of years. And then it just rusted out, and then we sold it.
Yeah, I mean the smart Jeep people. Nowadays, I said that they put in the bigger axles, they put in the bigger drive shafts, they put on the bigger braking system. They know what to do, but it's insane. Plus, everything's so expensive now. You can buy a Jeep Wrangler for $105,000.
Yeah,
Jeep Wrangler with an option, they get you $105,000 for a Jeep, and no wonder Stellantis is tanking.
They are so obnoxiously expensive, and they hold their value. And I sit there and think, man, you're a Jeep. If I want to spend, you get to spend $105,000. You could spend that on a way better product, a well-built product. Jennifer's brother owns a Jeep, and he complains about it all the time. He got a 4-door. They look great. They're sharp as shit, man. They're awesome looking, but poof, just nightmarish.
Oh, they are. It's insane. So, yeah, working on cars. What a pain sometimes. So, but I went to a Corona for Friday night for the Black Angus release.
Yeah.
So I got to dry bag so much stuff. I got the new mug. I got a t-shirt. I got a spatula.
Wow, I got a little bit of everything.
Yeah, the new stick is good though. It's
I'll take your word for it, Kevin, you selfish bastard.
I couldn't push it, Care. I was if I'd bought 2, I'd have been like, Kevin, she doesn't work here anymore, so we're gonna take care of you on this deal. But
excuses are like crutches; they're for the lame, Kevin.
So when it was funny when we went to lunch with Steve Saka at the barbecue place with and a bunch of our friends. He came in with a whole bag of them, and he was just giving them out like candy. He threw the bag and a box on the table and like, have at it.
Nice.
So
nice. How's Steve doing?
He's doing good. He's doing good. Getting old.
Yeah, you have him already at
78 now. No, he's doing great. He's looking great. He's tired. You could tell this year has been hard on him. He has done a lot of events.
He put out a lot of crap too, man. I mean, not to say crap, but I mean, it seems maybe it's just my perception, but it seems like he's been doing a great deal of one-off cigars or short-run cigars or cigars for this, cigars for that. He seems to be really kind of doing more of that this year than I've ever seen.
It is, and I think he mentioned it once that he'd been promising a lot of people cigars over the last few years. We're going to work on that. We'll get that going. And so this year, I think he was able to get out a lot of those commitments and produce them.
Fulfilling all promises in 1 year.
But he's so particular, and which is good. That's why everything you get from him is always perfect. He creates a blend, and it has to be perfect, and you don't get a say in it. You get, like, hey, I want to do like a shop exclusive. All right. So he'll work on it for a couple of years. You don't ever get a sample. You don't get to see the band. You don't get to see the box. You don't get to see anything until he's 100% done with it. You may call him like, hey, how's that going? Yeah, I finished the project up last year, but I was down in Nika at the factory, and I pulled one off the smoke, and I wasn't quite happy with it. So we're gonna change the blend a little bit, and then and see how that goes. And you don't get to say anything. You don't get to say,
yeah,
send me one of those and see how I like it. No, you don't get any of that. You don't get it until it's perfected.
Wow.
And so he had a lot of those this year, a lot of traveling, and he actually flew down this year because, in years past, Steve just drove everywhere.
Yeah.
From New Hampshire to wherever, Vegas, California, Florida, he just drive. So he flew down this time. So I think the year maybe was catching up to him a little bit. And,
he's been busy. Like I said, it seems like if all those promises and all the different projects that he talked about doing, it seemed like the year 2024 he was going to fulfill all those promises because
the Black Angus he'd been working on for 3 years on this stick, and it was finally really? Yeah. So I asked him, I go, so what do you think? And he goes, it's as good as it's gonna be. So him and like a lot of other people are not fans of the FSG,
right?
Tobacco. So, and then he actually, utilizing part of the plant that essentially just got thrown away in the past. Nobody ever wanted it. Too bold, too spicy, hard to work with, hard to get that blend in, with everything else and not have it overpower everything. And so, 3 years of figuring out the fermentation and everything else.
Yeah, he definitely likes a challenge, so
he'll complain about the challenge. I think he loves it. I think he absolutely loves the challenge of, especially a project like that, working with something that nobody else wanted, a tobacco that he wasn't a fan of. And like, how am I going to do this?
That's got the great makings for a Saka story. It's a tobacco he doesn't like. Everyone complains about working with it. No one else could use it, but he's going to take on that project and complain the whole way through it and put out a great cigar.
Yeah, exactly.
The end.
the end. The end. So but yeah, everything about it came out good. Not a quintessential FSG. I've told a few people, that asked me how I liked it. I go, if you like FSG and you love FSG, you might be disappointed in this cigar because it doesn't have that FSG twang, that dirty, gritty, which I love, which other people don't. So, so obviously this part of the tobacco or part of the plant that he's using obviously doesn't have that bite to it. So, so I think a lot of people are really going to like that stick.
Where's it available? Just at Corona?
Just at Corona. So it's all we're allowed to say. We're not allowed to tell you where to go because YouTube will kick us off.
No, it's fine. I just was curious where it was.
Yeah. It's essentially a one and done. Yeah. Essentially a one and done project. They did produce a lot. So he did say, like, if it's sold out in whatever, a week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks, it would probably be 3 years before you saw the reiteration of that really? just because of the time frame involved in fermenting that.
Wow, that's interesting. I mean, it definitely speaks volumes to, like you said, his attention to detail, his patience, and truly respecting that process that you can't speed up the hands of time. I mean, that is really a lot of folks, and we've all been there and seen that. A lot of folks try and find shortcuts, or they try and find a different way, or sometimes, the demand is just too high, but that just speaks volumes to his process.
Yep.
That's interesting. Huh.
Well,
okay. Anything else you want to ponder about?
No, I think that's been a good couple hours. I I enjoyed this. I think I'm definitely going to have a lot of fun with this new format. I love it.
Before we go, I do have to ask you something about your fast fingers.
Yeah. Fast fingers. I impressed a young lady today.
I got to hear this because of all of the times that I've had conversations with you and you've posted on our bullies chat that makes me laugh out loud. It's always something to do with your beard. Oh, some lady grabbed my beard. She grabbed my beard and she was rubbing it and stroking it and saying that it smelled good and it was Moroccan oily and which is in Northern Africa, not Central Asia. But today you talked about a young lady who was impressed with your finger skills.
Yeah, I had to sit down at the computer. She did a lot of the work, for me, because I think she didn't, obviously she probably does that, filling in a lot of the crap that I don't need to fill out. But then when I had to get to the credit card information and my address and a bunch of other stuff, she's like, all right, sit down. And then she's like, you just want to click here. And I'm just like, whoosh, like I'm just going at it. And then she was like, that gave me goosebumps. Your typing skills. And I go, I took 3 years of typing in high school. I am a ultra fast typer. I did want to go into her settings and adjust the mouse, but that is a government computer, so she probably wouldn't. It's one of those mice, when you put the cursor on the screen and like you move the mouse over, and then it slowly goes across. I'm like, this was annoying.
That would drive me up a flipping wall.
Oh man, it was everything. I'd move it up, and then it would be like,
I'm like, what do I need to do to make this thing go faster?
Yeah, exactly. I was looking on to see if it had the button. Like mine has buttons right on there. I can speed it up. Not this one.
Did you look in the bottom to see if it had the ball?
Yeah. That's what it should have been. But yeah. So yeah, I impressed a young lady with my typing skills. So which I'm very proud of. I'm a proud typist.
Well, my follow-up question is, your stories always crack me up whenever you bring this up. What's even funnier is Jessica's response to these events. It's either just yeah, well, sure, that's just Kevin, or she'll go off and it makes me laugh. And then I kind of go, man, Jessica, I feel bad for her. What was her response to Freddie Fast Fingers?
She's going through a lot with the kids in the school, so I don't think she really paid attention to that. Normally her response was, oh yeah, Kevin, was she young? What'd she look like?
Did she get goosebumps? She got goosebumps over your typing skills.
I remember one story when we were first dating, or we'd been dating for maybe a little bit, and we were somewhere, and I'm oblivious to when women hit on me. I really am. And she says it happens all the time. Women are always hitting on me. We were somewhere having dinner, or lunch. I think it was dinner, and waitress takes our drink order, goes in and goes, why are these women always hitting on you? And I'm like, she wasn't hitting on me. She goes, Kevin, she was hitting on you. Don't be stupid. I go, she wasn't hitting on me. She goes, well, she just took your drink order and walked away, never asked me. And I go, wait, what? And she goes, yeah, she never took my drink order. And I go, oh, weird. Yeah, so maybe you're right.
I don't think you're oblivious to it, Kevin. I think you just act dumb when it happens. I think Jessica's may sometimes I think sometimes Jessica may be a little overreactive with some things. But those things being said, I don't think you're oblivious to it. I don't. You are too in tune with shit.
I have become more
aware of your surroundings to not be oblivious to that, Kevin.
I have become more aware, but there was a long time where I was oblivious to women coming on to me. Like I didn't know what was happening. Like I am here with this woman that is amazing, and I'm oblivious to what these women are doing or saying or looking at me or whatever, so
I gotta lie to Jennifer. I gaslight her. I'm like, that girl just hit on me. What do you shoot? She asked me if if I wanted fries or mac and cheese. Do you see the way she said fries?
Yeah. Now Jessica does say, and I only caught myself once. She does say when a pretty bartender or a woman asks me a question, my voice gets 2 octaves higher.
I've noticed that.
Oh my God!
The
first time I caught, we were talking about it in the car going up to Corona, Tampa, and we got in there, and there's a bartender that she knows. You know, we're all friends, and then she's like, "Hi, Kevin." You know, "Hi, Kevin." I'm like, "Hey," and I'm like, "Oh, do it," you know. So
I remember us talking about that on Bullies, and I was like, I noticed that with Kevin. It's like, "Hey, here's our guest, Steve. Hey, Steve, how you doing? Hey, here's our guest, such and such. Hey, it's really good to see you. Really great to have you on the show." I was like, "Who the fuck's Mickey Mouse over here now all of a sudden?"
Yeah.
Oh my God, that's great. Listen, we're getting old. You know, we're not getting any prettier. So something like that happens. We just, you know, we're happy that it happens, but we don't act on it, obviously. Just happy. And then you go, you know what? Maybe that person has a few screws loose if they're hitting on me, because this is not where it's going on.
That's it. So are we I know you got something going on next Monday? Are we doing a show, or what's going
No, I'm going up to Pennsylvania next week.
Okay.
So I'll be in Pennsylvania all week.
Okay.
So I'm leaving. I'll be gone. I'm leaving Sunday, and I'll be back on Friday.
Okay, so not a problem. So maybe we'll get one more in before the end of the year, maybe not. So we'll
if anything changes, where you know, I'll let you know. But I'm more than
or the week after or whatever. Maybe we can do a pre-Christmas, or we'll figure it out.
Yeah, I think we could probably do one the week after that. But yeah, I'm going to see my dad and spending some time up there for the week.
Yeah. All right.
No.
Cool. All right. We don't have really, we got, you know, once we get a few of these, we'll get some kind of intro and outro going. So we'll figure that out next year, you know, so.
No,
all right. We appreciate everybody. The Puff and Ponder podcast. If you're watching this on whatever, we actually have quite a few people watching tonight. So, which is good. Make sure you're looking up Puff and Ponder podcast on YouTube and Rumble. Give us a follow, give us a like, a share. We definitely appreciate that. And
definitely we'll share the shows with at Cigar Prop and also Stogie Road Cigars. You know, we're making sure we're sharing the show in many areas.
Yep, and then in the video link and the podcast description are all the social media links where you can find Kerr and I on Instagram and LinkedIn. So if you want to enjoy more of our content, you can find us on those social media channels. And I'll leave it at that.
Puff and Ponder, where conversations ignite.